The bold and the beautiful. Legacy on the brink. Eric's empire under siege. The heart of the Forrester dynasty is no longer beating in silence. Beneath the polished glass walls of Forrester Creations, beneath the lavish gowns and glimmering spotlights, something rotten has been growing, and now it's erupting in plain sight. In what may be the most shocking and emotionally charged storyline in years, Eric Forrester's legacy stands on the edge of destruction. And the ones meant to protect it may be the very ones tearing it apart. It begins with Brooke Logan, sharp as ever. Noticing an unusual discrepancy in the financial reports tied to the Eric Forrester Heritage Trust, this was the fund created to secure Eric's personal assets and the future of the Forrester name. A tribute to the decades he's dedicated to fashion, family, and power. But now, millions are missing. At first, Ridgewell has been slowly stepping into his father's shoes, dismisses it as a simple accounting error, a transition hiccup during the handover of power. But Brooke isn't convinced, and neither is Steffi. She digs deeper, and what she uncovers rattles the walls of the mansion. This isn't just a mistake, it's sabotage. Someone inside the house, someone close, someone trusted is bleeding them dry. As tensions rise, Hope Logan begins to investigate on her own, not just for her family's future, but to protect what little remains of the trust between them all. Her trail leads to a startling revelation, a private transaction filed quietly under Donna Logan's name, transferring millions from the Eric Forrester Trust into a shell company. The official reason? To shield Eric's estate from a looming medical debt claim stemming from his recent health crisis. On the surface, it seems like a protective measure, maybe even an act of love. But Hope digs deeper. The paperwork, carefully buried under layers of corporate filings, carries a digital signature, not Donna's, but someone else's. The files had been altered. The original terms of the transfer included a temporary holding clause, but someone rewrote it into a permanent financial redirection that locked Forrester assets under outside control. The name on the final version: Zende Forrester Demings. It hits like a gut punch. Zende, the golden boy, the rising designer. Loyal, hardworking, quiet. But he didn't act alone. When confronted, Zende is cagey, nervous, and eventually cracks. He admits to adjusting the contract, but not for himself. He was following instructions. From who? That's when the truth detonates. Sheila Carter. The name silences the room like a funeral bell. Sheila, long thought to be buried by her own schemes, isn't just back. She's been inside this whole time. Manipulating, influencing, watching. She had approached Zende under the guise of a foreign investor, promising him a breakthrough collection of his own. The next big leap. But she needed a favor. A quiet revision to a contract he barely understood. Just a signature. Just a file. No one would ever know. But they do now. The Forrester family is thrown into chaos. Accusations fly. Donna, horrified, claims she had no knowledge of the fake transaction and pleads with Eric to believe her. Ridge is furious. Steffi feels vindicated. There was a traitor, and now there's a name. Brooke stands by Donna, but even she can't explain how the deception ran so deep. The shareholders' meeting, initially intended as a ceremonial step in the full transition of power from Eric to Ridge, is abruptly transformed into a full-scale family tribunal. Every executive, every blood relative, every key player is summoned. Security is tight. Lawyers are present. PR agents hover near the doors, sensing scandal. The mood is tense. No one knows what Eric will decide. Eric enters the room not as a founder basking in retirement, but as a man betrayed. His hands tremble not from illness, but from fury and heartbreak. He looks across the room, at Donna, eyes filled with tears, at Ridge, impatient and seething. At Steffi, arms crossed, unapologetic. At Zende, ashamed and silent. And above all, he sees the looming shadow of Sheila, ghost that refuses to die, even when banished. Ridge demands controlful, irrevocable, immediate. Dad, this can't continue. This isn't about you and Donna anymore. This is about the company, the family. Our future, Donna pleads. Eric, please. I didn't know. I would never risk what you built. Sheila used me. Zenith was manipulated. Steffi doesn't budge. Either you hand control to people who won't be fooled by Sheila Carter ever again, or we all walk, including the board. It's not just a power struggle. It's an ultimatum. And Eric Forrester is alone in the middle of it. For minutes, he says nothing. Then he rises slowly from his chair. And in a voice that has designed generations of beauty, love, and strength, he delivers his verdict. I built this house. I built this brand. Not with signatures or spreadsheets, but with heart. I believed in love, in second chances, in people. Maybe that was my mistake. He turns to rage. You want control? Take it. Gasps ripple through the room. But know this, he continues. You may have the title, the seat, the legal signature, but this company has always run on more than power. If you forget that, it will eat you alive. He looks at Donna, devastated, then walks out of the room no longer as CEO, but as the man who just surrendered everything to save what's left of it. The fallout is immediate. Reg and Steffi step in as co-CEOs. Zende is suspended pending investigation. Hope and Brooke turn their energy toward clearing Donna's name and exposing Sheila's true intent. And Sheila? She's vanished again, her trail cold, but her presence unmistakable. Eric retreats to his estate. Donna follows him, broken but loyal. She vows to make it right. Eric says nothing. The wound is still fresh. But as the Forrester empire shifts and alliances fracture, the game isn't over. Because across town, in a luxury suite under a false name, Sheila Carter watches the fallout unfold on her tablet, sipping champagne and smiling. She's already planning her next move. She didn't just want money. She wanted to be part of the family again. And now, with Eric out and Ridge in power, with Zende dangling like a marionette and Donna's reputation in ruins, the door to the Forrester legacy is cracked open just enough for her to force her way through. The legacy war has just begun, and no one is safe. The bold and the beautiful, vows, betrayals, and a viral scandal when love meets the spotlight. The sun was golden, the air still, and the sprawling Los Angeles vineyard had never looked more perfect. Hope Logan, glowing in ivory silk, stood hand in hand with Carter Walton, the man who had surprised everyone by capturing her heart after years of false starts, failed promises, and family pressure. Their love story had been unconventional, unexpected, and for once, unburdened by legacy. Today was supposed to mark a new chapter for them, and for the Forrester brand. It was more than a wedding. It was a statement, a celebration, a spectacle. Themed around Hope's newest couture line, Vows, the wedding doubled as a launch event for a daring collection inspired by commitment, forgiveness, and personal transformation. The vineyard had been transformed into a minimalist paradise. White roses, floating arches, and a miniature runway splitting the aisle. Models dressed in cascading whites and shimmering blush tones strutted down the catwalk just before the ceremony, merging fashion with sentiment in classic Forrester flair. Every major press outlet was present. The entire Forrester family sat front row. Cameras rolled. The world watched. Then came the moment. Hope walked toward Carter. Music swelled. The lead wall behind the altar lit up, ready to display a custom film montage, memories, sketches, designs, behind-the-scenes footage of hope for the future's evolution. Instead, the screen blinked. Static. Then footage. Raw, unpolished, and devastating. A grainy video, barely lit. A close-up of two people in silhouette, kissing. Clothes half off. No faces. Just enough skin. Enough whispering. Enough betrayal. Enough for the world to gasp. The crowd froze. The audio kicked in. One voice was unmistakably Hope's. The other not Carter's. A second later, the clip cut to black. Screams and shouts broke out. Phones lit up as guests scrambled to rewind the footage. Carter stood still, stunned, his expression unreadable. Hope's face turned ghost white. The altar crumbled not in wood, but in trust. Immediately, all eyes shifted to Thomas, the man who had once obsessed over Hope, who had been exiled and welcomed back, only to be doubted again and again. He was the obvious suspect, the unhinged ex, the jealous creative director, someone who had access to the footage archives and motive to ruin Hope's moment. Steffi stormed down the aisle. "What did you do, Thomas? Tell me you didn't just sabotage your brother's wedding." Thomas's hands were up. "I didn't do this. I swear to God, I didn't." Hope couldn't even speak. She turned away from the crowd, from Carter, from her mother. Her breath caught in her throat. The image from the screen burned into her mind. A private moment, twisted, violated, and weaponized. And yet, something was off. Enter Dr. John Finnegan. While chaos reigned around him, he pulled out his phone and focused on the technical. The glitch in the lead feed. The upload timestamp. A digital breadcrumb. Within minutes, Finn traced the embedded metadata from the video source. Not from the Forrester servers. Not from Thomas, but from a nearby Bluetooth device. A phone. Specifically, Paris Buckingham's phone. Gasps turned into silence. Paris, standing in the second row, near the flower arrangements, looked like she had been struck by lightning. Her phone was already buzzing. Her hands shook. Carter's voice was hollow, his eyes wide. "Is this true?" She looked at him, the man she had once loved, the man who had chosen Hope over her. Then she looked at Hope, already unraveling under the weight of public shame. She could have stayed silent. She could have lied. But she didn't. She stepped forward. "It was me," she said. Her voice trembled. "I didn't make the video. I didn't even know it existed until last night. Someone sent it to me with a threat." Everyone leaned in. Her confession poured out in waves. "A blogger. Some guy who runs a celebrity gossip channel knew I had access to the event's AV system. He said if I didn't upload it, he'd leak private photos from my past. Things the first I'm ashamed of. I was stupid. I thought maybe if it just played for a second, no one would notice. But everyone had noticed. And now the damage was done." Hope turned back toward Paris, anger and pain etched across her face. Carter just closed his eyes, struggling to breathe. Then, silence, until Brooke stepped forward, calm but commanding. "This stops here," she said. "No more spectacle. No more shame." Hope, slowly regaining composure, turned to Carter. "We can't do this." "Not today," he nodded, one tear falling, then walked to her side. And in a moment of strength that no one expected, Hope took the microphone from the ceremony stand. She looked out over the stunned audience and said, "This was supposed to be about love, about promises. And maybe we forgot that along the way. Maybe all of this lights, the cameras, the pressure to be perfect distracted us. But this is still a moment to stand for something." She turned toward the runway. "This platform isn't just for fabric. It's for truth." She took a deep breath. "Today, this isn't a wedding. It's a wake-up call. And instead of walking down the aisle, we're walking forward with purpose." In the span of an hour, everything transformed. The models returned. The press stayed. But now the show had a new title. Walk for Hope, a live fundraiser against online harassment, digital exploitation, and revenge media. Hope spoke openly about how women, public or not, were being targeted, blackmailed, and shamed. Paris shared her truth, her regret, and her hope that speaking up would help someone else. Brooke called on lawmakers to act. Carter pledged Forrester's full support. Even Redstand, but made a sizable donation from the family trust. The scandal turned into something else entirely. Hope and Carter didn't marry that day, but they became something stronger, faces of a movement. The fashion line vows sold out within hours online. The digital stream raised over $2 million in one night. The scandalous footage wiped. The blogger tracked, exposed, and arrested for blackmail and privacy violations. But what lingered was more personal. Thomas, though cleared, still felt the sting of mistrust. Finn, once again the unsung hero, returned home to Steffi with the weight of another crisis averted. Paris began rebuilding trust in the eyes of the Forresters and herself. Carter and Hope. They didn't know what came next, but they agreed on one thing. No more lies. No more masks. And somewhere, watching the event from a dimly lit hotel room, Sheila Carter smirked to herself. Not because she was involved, but because in a world like this, chaos didn't need a villain. Just Wi-Fi and a weak link. The spotlight fades, but the drama never ends.